Welcome students. Today we are going to discuss the questions of the chapter Our Environment in Biology. We have studied the chapter, we have studied the phenomenon of ecosystem, waste disposal, 3R rule, biological magnification, food chain, 10% law, etc. So today we are going to discuss the question answers. So very first question there, why are some substances biodegradable and some non-biodegradable? Students, we know that some substances are, some waste that we generate are biodegradable and some are non-biodegradable. Here in this question, you have to discuss the differences between the both. There are microorganisms present in our environment, and these microorganisms, that is fungi and bacteria, secrete various enzymes. Some substances can be degraded or decomposed with the help of these enzymes, and such substances which can be degraded or decomposed with the help of microorganisms, that is enzymes secreted by microorganisms, are called biodegradable substances. Whereas the substances which cannot be degraded or decomposed with the help of microorganisms, or some substances which take very long period of time to get degraded, are called non-biodegradable substances. So basically, if you want to differentiate between biodegradable and non-biodegradable, there is a simple rule. If it is a plant or animal product, it is generally biodegradable. It is not 100% true and always true, but generally all the biodegradable substances are either plant products or animal products, whereas non-biodegradable substances are generally natural substances like metallic substances or man-made substances, synthetic substances like plastic, glass, etc. So in this question, you will differentiate on the basis of their duration or capacity of getting decomposed with the help of microorganisms or not. The second question says, give any two ways in which biodegradable substances would affect the environment. Biodegradable substances affect the environment in various ways. Here you have to write down two ways. So you may write down that on the biodegradable substances, mosquitoes and flies develop, germs grow over there. So these are the site of germ development, and also the flies and the mosquitoes which grow over there, they transfer the substances or the germs from one place to another. So for various communicable disease, these are the site of development. Other harmful effect of biodegradable may be like foul smell coming out from those waste. So this is also a very harmful effect of biodegradable substances. So you may write down these 2 points. The next question is, give any two ways in which non-biodegradable substance would affect the environment. Now, non-biodegradable substance also affect the environment in a very dangerous way. Since these are present in environment and these cannot be degraded or decomposed, these remain in environment. If these non-biodegradable substances are present in water, they affect the quality of water, they enter the food chain of the animals, organisms rather, and accumulate in the body of organism. Also, non-biodegradable substance can hamper the quality of soil, the fertility of soil. It may make the soil more acidic. It may cause air pollution if it is burnt. So there are various ways in which non-biodegradable substance hamper the environment. You will write any two of them. The next question, what are trophic levels? Give an example of a food chain and state the different trophic levels in it. Trophic levels are different sequences and different steps present in a food chain. When we write down a food chain with the help of arrow, we mention different steps of food chain, and those steps are known as trophic level. So subsequent steps present in a food chain are called trophic level. Next, in the same question, the next part, you have to give an example of a food chain. So you may write down any food chain starting from plants, producers obviously, and then proceeding towards the herbivores, then carnivores like plants, goat and tiger, or grass, insects, grasshoppers. So any sort of food chain of your choice you may write down, and also you have to state the different trophic levels in it. So producers or the plants will be the first trophic level. Then will be the herbivorous organisms which will form the second trophic level. Those are termed as primary consumers. Then secondary consumers or consumers which eat herbivorous organisms. Those are secondary consumers. Additionally, you may add up tertiary consumers and so on. So you have to draw a food chain, and also you have to label different trophic levels in it. Fifth question. What is the role of decomposers in the ecosystem? Students, decomposers play a very important role in the ecosystem. Decomposers are the organisms, the microorganisms rather, present in environment which decompose. As the name suggests, these are decomposers. So these decompose or degrade the body of the organism, the dead body of the organism. By this way, first of all, they clean up the environment. They help in the cleaning up of environment. See what will happen or how our earth will look if all the organisms, dead organisms, are still present, their dead bodies are still present on the earth. So decomposers are the organisms which clean up the environment. Secondly, by doing so, by decomposing the body, they remove or release, trap up substances inside those bodies. Like living things need various substances, organic and inorganic substances, elements which they take up from environment, like carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, copper. These are present in the body of organisms. We have studied about micronutrients and macronutrients. All these are taken up from environment, either from air, water or soil, or from our food sources. So these all are present in the body. Decomposers release those substances from dead bodies. These substances get back to the environment, and these are now again available for the use by different living things. In this way, decomposers helps to maintain the biogeochemical cycle that we have studied in standard 9s. So decomposer play a very important role in the ecosystem in making the cycle working. The next question is, what is ozone and how does it affect any ecosystem? Ozone is O3, triatomic molecule of oxygen. It is poisonous gas, and thankfully it is not present in the lower environment. It is present in the stratosphere in thick concentration, and that's why it forms a layer in a stratosphere, and that layer is called ozone layer. That ozone layer helps our earth to protect it from harmful ultraviolet rays. It doesn't allow UV rays to enter inside the earth's atmosphere. The UV radiation, if entered inside the earth's atmosphere, will increase earth's temperature and will create various diseases. So ozone layer, by not letting the harmful UV radiation enter our earth environment, protect the earth and the ecosystem. Next question is, how can you help in reducing the problem of waste disposal? Give any two method. Waste disposal means how to get rid of waste. So basically there are 3 R rule for waste disposal. It is basically for non-biodegradable substances. When we talk of biodegradable substances, the basic rule of getting rid of such waste is making compost. By making compost and manures or formation of biogas on a large scale, we can get rid of the problem of waste disposal, and also we will get a useful product, byproduct, that is manure or compost. So to get rid from the problem of waste disposal, biodegradable, we can prepare manure and compost. When we talk of non-biodegradable waste, what we can do? We can follow 3R rule, that is reduce, reuse and recycle. So in the theory of reduce, we must reduce the use or production of those non-biodegradable or harmful substance that we want to get rid of. Like plastic, we cannot completely avoid plastic, but if we can avoid, we must. We can use cloth bags or paper bags instead of plastic. We can do it on our level also, and our governments are also working. They sometimes ban these products and all that. So the first one is reduce. The second one is reuse. Instead of every time using a new product, we can use it again and again. So it is reuse. Like if you are using plastic bottle time and again, you can keep the same plastic bottle and you can carry the water in that instead of throwing it and then again buying a new one. So it is reuse. And the third one is recycle, where we collect all these substances and give it to the factories, and then they recycle these products and prepare new products. So by preparing compost, by following reduce, reuse and recycle, we can solve the problem of waste disposal. You have to write down only 2. So any 2 method you will explain. So students, these are the questions. Now come to the NCERT exercise question. So the next question, that is the first question of exercise, is which of the following groups contains only biodegradable items? 4 groups are given. You have to find out only biodegradable substances. The first one is grass, flour, leather. The second one is grass, wood, plastic. Third is fruit peels, cake, lime juice. And D, cake, wood and grass. Students, here we can see the plastic is a non-biodegradable substance. Any other non-biodegradable substance we cannot get. Grass is a biodegradable, flour is a biodegradable, leather, yes. Some consider leather as non-biodegradable because it takes a very long period of time to be degraded. But generally, some are considering it in non-biodegradable, some consider it in biodegradable. Generally, it is considered as biodegradable. So, it is a biodegradable substance. Grass, wood, fruit peels, cake. Cake. What is cake? Biodegradable or non-biodegradable? It is edible item and it cannot be non-biodegradable. Lime juice, wood and grass. So here only the B will be having out of the group, and A, C and D are the answers. Okay, so don't get confused. Some students get confused that how option can be more than one. See here what it is written, which of the following groups. It is plural. So there is a scope of having more than one option. So option A, C and D will be the right. The second question is, which of the following constitute a food chain? So for having a food chain, what we require? We require producer, which means someone from plant group, a herbivore and a carnivore. So let's check. Grass, wheat, mango. All the 3 are producers. No consumer is there. So it will not be the answer. Grass, goat, human. It may be the answer. Grass are producers, goat will eat the grass and humans may eat the goat. So it may be the answer. C is goat, cow, elephant. Here producers are not there. And here grass, fish and goat. So here all the three members are there from three trophic levels, but they are not, sequenced. They are not connected. Fish will not eat grass. It may eat grass, but that is aquatic. And goat will not eat fish. So it is not food chain. So answer will be B. The third question is, which of the following are environment friendly practices? Now environment friendly, where energy is not getting waste, and waste is not much in amount, and non-biodegradable substances are not getting generated. So these are environment friendly practices. So first is carrying cloth bags. Yes, instead of plastic bags, if we are using cloth bags, it is an environment friendly practice. Switching off unnecessary light. Yes, obviously here we are saving the energy. Walking to a school instead of going on vehicle, and all of the above. So here all of the above will be the answer. The next question is, what will happen if we kill all the organism in one trophic level? See, what will happen if we kill all the organism in one trophic level? So the different trophic levels connect with each other and they complete the food chain. So suppose one trophic level is empty, what will happen? First, there will be overpopulation of the previous trophic level because no one is there to eat them up. And secondly, there will be no flow of energy because there is a missing step in between. So there will be no flow of energy. Consider a situation of very simple food chain: grass, goat, tiger. So what will happen if no grass is there? No producer is there, food will not be formed, goat will not get their food, they will die up, and when goat will die up, tiger will also die up. What will happen if goat is not there? Goat will not be there, then there will be overpopulation of grasses. They will themselves compete for sunlight and minerals and water and all that, and after that they will not get adequate and they will dry up. Also, tigers will not get food because goat is not there, so tiger will die up. So ultimately there will be imbalance and ecosystem will be disturbed. If tiger will not be there, there will be nothing, no one to eat the goat, and there will be overpopulation of goat, and overpopulation of goat will lead to less growth of grass, and in absence of grass then goat will also again die up. So there will be imbalance of ecosystem. If any trophic level is empty, there will be imbalance of ecosystem. The next question, will the impact of removing all the organism in a trophic level be different for different trophic levels? It is asking whether there will be different result if we remove grass or goat or tiger. Okay, so here what will be the answer? Actually no. The long term effect will be same. There will be imbalance in ecosystem and ecosystem will be disturbed. Yes, there may be time related difference, that if grass is not there, the result will be seen very earlier, and if tiger is not there, then that ecosystem will grow for some time and then it will end up. So time related difference may be there, but ultimately the ecosystem will be disturbed. So ultimately in long term there will be no difference in all three or any condition. There will be disturbed ecosystem. This will be the result, final result. Again in the same question it is asking, can the organisms of any trophic level be removed without causing any damage to the ecosystem? No. In question 4 only we have seen this. We removed grass, the result was same. We removed goat, the result was same. And we removed tiger, the result was same. So there will be no difference which trophic level is empty. The result will be same. The next question is, What is biological magnification? Students, we have discussed about biological magnification. Accumulation and increase of harmful non-biodegradable substance inside the body of living things through the food chain is called biological magnification. In the same question, will the levels of this magnification be different and at different levels of the ecosystem? Obviously yes, because biological magnification in the definition clarifies that it is progressive increase of harmful substances at progressed trophic level. So when we are going away from the producers, the amount is increasing. So obviously at different trophic levels, the amount of biologically magnified substances will be increased. Next question, what are the problems caused by non-biodegradable waste that we generate? This we have discussed in in-text question also. Non-biodegradable substance cannot be degraded and these are present, these remain in the environment. So these are just increasing in the number and these are harming the soil fertility and the quality of soil. Also it is polluting the water. If we burn it, it may pollute the air. So these are the harmful effects of non-biodegradable substances. The next question is, if all the waste generate is biodegradable, will this have no impact on the environment? No, we cannot say that biodegradable substance will have no impact on the environment. If all the waste generated is biodegradable, it will take longer period of time to be degraded. Microorganisms are acting to degrade on it, but when one lot is degraded, before that another lot is prepared. So there will always be a continuous supply of waste. So there will always be foul smell and flies will breed over there. Okay, so it is not like that biodegradable will not have any impact on environment. The next question is, why is damage to the ozone layer a cause of concern? It is a cause of concern because ozone layer performs very important function of absorption of UV radiation. And what steps are being taken to limit this damage? Here you will explain about Montreal Protocol and Helsinki Declaration. These are two steps which are being taken to protect the ozone layer. So students, I hope there is now no problem in writing down the answers of these questions. So prepare your question answer of these exercises.